Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's show. So I'm just going to adjust the camera. Why is it always just as I go live? I get, I think, oh, I'll adjust that. Right, I've done that a little bit too much. So how is everybody? Um, oh, that's actually coming a little bit late. Sorry, I'm watching the preview on my screen. Right. Okay. So we are going to be building issue 21 this week, which is the final back wheel. So we have one change to the channel, and what it is we now have a co-host. So I would like to introduce to you an absolutely fantastic YouTuber. I've been watching his channel for a couple of weeks now. Now I came across him from doing some other builds. He started watching my channel on Twitch, and he's leaving comments on my YouTube channel, and I always watch other people's channels. If they leave a comment and they subscribe to my channel, I'll always return the compliment, and I'll see what they're about, and I'll try to encourage their content. Now, this chap I don't think needs much encouragement because he is absolutely fantastic. His attention to detail, and then when I came up with the idea for this show, I just knew straight away that I had to have him on my show as co-host. I needed him as much as possible, and I was very, very privileged for him to say yes. So I will turn the camera over to the most wonderful Horlicks. Hello.
Hello. All right.
So,
Well, I must say, I'm very privileged that you've invited me on as
the
your
privilege is all
co-host.
mine. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you build and why?
Okay, so I've been YouTubing for must be about a year now, maybe just over a year, and I was actually pushed into doing it because my friend at work was saying, "Oh, you should go on YouTube," and I had a bit of self doubt, and I was like, "No, I can't. No one's going to watch me." But in fact, I'm doing 3 builds at the moment, which I'll go into in a sec. Um, it's actually been amazing. Not the subscribers I've got, and the loyal ones, and I made a lot of good friends, including yourself, and it's brilliant. I'm glad I did it in the end. So yeah, I'm doing the DeLorean build, the R2D2 build, and I've just recently, because of your videos, started to do the classic Routemasters. But I am very behind on that.
That's fine. To be honest with you, I'm enjoying your builds because obviously, with you being about 3 months behind us, it's like a little trip down memory lane for me. I don't know how others see it, but I would definitely recommend to anyone watching your channel. I'm going to say a quick hello to Dave Milne and Dave Say, who've just said evening all on the chat. And
Yeah,
then shall
hello.
we go into the build?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Right, so I should have actually changed my camera while you were talking, so I do apologise, but I've done it now. So this is issue 21. Now, what the plan was to go straight into the build because I appreciate that some people will watch the show on the rerun just for the build, and then once that's done, they'll switch off. I don't have a problem with that. And then after we do the build, obviously we'll have a little talk about it, and then we'll go through the magazine. But obviously, last week we had to cheat a little bit. We had to do issue 18 instead of issue 20, which I've now got issue 20. So we'll have a quick look through the issue 20, and then we'll go through issue 21. Obviously, any questions, if we don't answer any questions straight away, please don't worry, we will come to them eventually. If there's any questions regarding the actual build that must be answered at that particular moment, we will do our best. And also, bearing in mind that this is our first actual proper live, we have done 2 practice runs, which went very well. But as I say, we've never done this live. So, shall we begin?
Yeah, let's go
Okay,
for it.
so my lovely assistant Horlicks will be doing the commentary while I do the actual build. Now, hopefully, I've said hello, Daniel Simpson. How are you? So the
Hi,
first
Daniel.
thing we like to do is to check the parts.
Okie doke. So there's looks like there's six items in there, two of which are screws. So we should have 21A, which is a tyre.
Do you know what? I've got my there we go. I thought I got the plastic stuck.
Oh, they're a nightmare,
So
those to open.
21A is a tyre. Now,
Yeah,
do you mind if I just pop this straight into the hot water? We all know that it's going to go into the hot water.
Yeah.
So if I pop it in now while we check the other parts, that'll save us a bit of time later. Okay, and the next part.
21B, which is the rear inner wheel rim.
Okay.
Yeah, I just love the quality of those parts.
They are
amazing.
very good. There were complaints about the thickness of the paint, and I would agree that it is quite thick. However, I think they have got the actual, you know that there's nuts there. At least they haven't missed them out.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, 21C is a brake disc.
Okay, and this is plastic. So I meant to say the rubber, the tyre is obviously rubber. Hello, Chris Campbelling. How are you? Right, so we've got the tyre is rubbery, plasticky material. The wheel is metal, and this the brake disc is plastic. It feels like a little communion wafer. So that's that part.
Okay, yeah. 21D should be a washer.
Okay, and again, just
nylon. Is it nylon or metal?
It's plastic. Plastic. Right. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a plasticologist, so I can't tell you much about the plastic, but it's plasticky.
Okay, and then you should have some GM GM screws. Yeah, 2.3 by 5 mil, and there's 4 of those.
Okay, there's 4 of those, so I'm assuming we're going to use 3.
Yeah, and then you've got some IM screws. There should be 2 of those, and they're 2.6 by 5.
Lovely, and that's the 2. Now I'm going to unveil a new tool that's been made for me by Horlicks, which you can't see because my light is so bright. This is a screw pot that Horlicks made for me, and you see, you know what it's for because it's got it written on the front. So I'm going to pop my screws into there, if you don't mind.
No, that's what it's for.
So IM screws, I'll put those in a second because G comes before I. And I will just pop those onto there. And the GM screws, obviously once I've completed the build, the spare screws, if there are any spare screws, will go into my medicine pot, my pill pot. Okay, so shall we begin with the actual build?
Yes, how's the tyre feeling?
The tyre is... Okay, now I do say this a lot, and I do apologise for repeating, but the water is... I actually put hot water in because I knew I was starting this stream. I knew what time I was going to start, so I put the hot water in beforehand, because obviously it's going to go cold, but it's kind of the temperature which I can hold my fingers in for about 5 seconds before they get uncomfortable. Don't want it too hot, but obviously you want it warm enough to make it more pliable. And oh, that's much better, isn't it?
Yeah, that's good.
So, as per usual, this is just the way that I do it. I like to use lots of kitchen roll. This was a really fat roll a few weeks ago, but that's what happens when you hobby. And I always get too much paper rather than not enough. So what I will do now is we will dry the tyre. Make sure the tyre is thoroughly dried, especially on the inside, because where the water is hot, you're obviously going to get steam in there. And once it cools down, that steam will turn into water. And if you've got the wheel in there, that's going to seal that in. And as you move the wheels around, you could get sloshing water. So I think that's dry. So what I'm going to do is get another piece of paper, towel, and I'm just going to give that another quick run.
And then obviously the alternative, that you could heat it with a hairdryer if that's
Yes. Now
convenient
I've
to you.
heard that if you use the hairdryer, I think it might actually have been Dave Say that said this on Facebook, but you will need asbestos hands as well. So I don't know if it's going to be a longer process or a quicker process. I just
Right.
think water is just the simplest way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so stage one.
Okay, so we've already started the part of it. So obviously, yeah, soften the tyre 21A for a couple of minutes in the warm water, like you said, and demonstrated. Um, and then um, you need to fit the tyre over the rear inner wheel rim, which is 21B, and ensure
Okay,
it's fitted properly fitted over the wheel rim on both sides.
right. So just like before, I'm just going to squish the tyre. Now this wheel has got 4 ridges on it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to push 2 of the ridges in, and then I'm going to push the other side in, and then just to make sure it's in there properly, I'm going to push it from the back, push it from the front, do that 2 or 3 times just to make sure it's in. When I'm pushing it backwards and forwards, I'm not obviously pushing it as hard as I did when I put the tyre in, and that's on there nice. Doesn't matter which way round the tyre goes. As you can see, the tyre is exactly the same both ways. So there we go. Our 6th
Okay.
tyre, so hopefully we don't have to do that anymore.
No. Okay, so this is step two now. We need to take the tyre and wheel rim 20C, which you assembled in the previous issue.
Okie dokie. That would look something like this. So this is last week's tyre, and I believe we're going to attach those with 3 GM screws.
Yes, so
Now,
um,
do you know what? I had it a moment ago, but I've just lost my screwdriver. Can you believe that? I thought there it is. I knew I put it somewhere. Right now, again, this is pretty much a repeat of issue. I forgot what issue we're on. This is pretty much a repeat of issue 19. Take note of these screw holes. First time I looked at this, I thought they were equidistant, but they're not. They're different sizes. And what you need to do, this one, it's not so easy to spot, but this one, to me, it sticks out like a sore thumb. So you
yeah,
need to line them up properly. Now, if you look at them as you line them in, you only really need to line 2 up. There you go, they're in. And then just turn it around. There you go, they're in. And it's probably difficult to tell you and show you. It's just one of those things that you need to do. But I'll do it again. So we've got them roughly lined up. I've taken 1 at the top and then 2 at the bottom. Probably doesn't matter which way round you do it, but you see so I'm trying to work on the camera. There we go. So you've got 1 at the top and then the 2 bottom ones, and then line this one up the same way, and then we're going to bring them together, and then I'm going to look at any 2 of them. We've got the middle of the wheel, and we can see that they're going in okay. And then I'm going to move it round so that I can see the 3rd one. I've just swiveled it a bit, so again, it's really hard to see. Actually, I've just realised I've got a torch around my. Does that help? Oh, that does help a bit. So
right,
there you
yeah, I see.
go, look, guys. Join the Transport Benevolent Fund, and they will give you a free torch, and then you can use that torch to have a little look in there. So that one's lined up, that one's lined up, and then that one's lined up. And then what I would do is hold those together. If you're going to have problems holding that, maybe consider a bit of masking tape. And I'm not going to have trouble. Now, you will know that you've got it the correct way round because you've got some screw holes there and they're countersunk. So I'm going to lay those down carefully,
Yeah,
pick up 1 screw,
and these are the GM screws.
EM screws, yeah. And I'm going to pop just the 1 screw in just enough so it bites. There you go. So that's biting. That's not in fully. And then pop the second one in. Don't know if you can see that okay. I'm trying not to lift it up too much because the more I handle this, the more it could just come off those little holes. Right, that one's bitten. And then the third one. I've just spotted why they're in a specific way. I will come to that in a moment. Right. So that third one is bitten. So now that they've bitten, I can now double check. Do I think they're all lined up? I'll use my torch again, look. Check they're all lined up. It's quite hard to show you on camera, but I can see quite clearly that they have all lined up. Once I'm happy, we'll just finish screwing those in. Do you know what? I forgot to do something. I apologize to the two Daves. Last week they told me about the washing up liquid, and I'm not one to say, oh, I've tried it once and I think it's brilliant. I like to give it 2 or 3 tries, and I really did want to do the I've forgotten what I was going to say now. I did want to give it a try on this one, and I've actually forgotten to do these, so I do apologize. I wanted to give. I like to try one method as many times as I can, and then try another method as many times as I can. Right, so they're in as tight as I can get them, and there's no movement. There's a little bit of movement on the tire, so it's quite hard to judge. Obviously, one of these tires is warm, but the actual metal wheels aren't moving. So I'm happy with that. You can see those tires, but sorry, the screws, but I don't think the screws are going to show. Okay. Are you happy with that? Is everyone else happy with that? Chris, I have spotted your comment about the live build. I will deal with that question when we finish the build.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Yeah. Okay, so stage 3.
Yeah, stage 3. So you need to take the brake disc 21C and then fit the disc over the offside end of the rear axle, noticing the notch.
Oh, I nearly dropped my chassis. Right, so there's the notch. Okay, and that's handy because they've called it offside, and obviously last time they called it near side. Now, obviously, I mean, some of us can look at that and just know which is the top and which is the bottom. But for those of us that don't, the offside, it goes with another word called near side, which refers to where you are to the curb. Sometimes people call it curbside. So obviously this is the offside because this is what it's told us to do. So this is the curb side or the near side. And so we know that this is the top and the driver's cab will be around here somewhere. Don't know if that helps you. So we've got the notch there and we've got this. Whoops. I'm very well known for dropping things on stream. So we see there we've got like a keyhole. So we'll want that notch up and then that will go over like that.
And yeah, I was about to say, is that obviously it's got the notch in. Is there a specific way for that to go?
Well, looking at the last wheel, see the temptation was because I've just dropped it, I can't pick it up. Because this side won't be seen, I was going to say maybe we could cover up those 2 little punch holes by putting that on the inside of the tire. But in all fairness, looking at the last one, I don't think they're going to be spotted whichever way round we do it. However, right. I am very tempted. It goes just as well either way. So I'm very tempted to put notch side up so that it gets covered by the tire, by the wheel. Okay, so just the wheel wants to go in as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And
so
There is no right and wrong way to put that wheel in. You just insert this lug into the hole there, and that just goes in simply like that.
Yeah. So we're going to fit the
Okay.
wheel on. Yeah, and then we need to take the washer 21D and then pass an IM screw through the washer and into
Right.
the end of the axle.
Now I struggled with this last time. In fact, I even scraped a little bit off. So I'm going. Oh, actually, that's gone in really well. Okay, so I'm in contrast to the last one. There we go. So I just want to make sure that goes in. I'm going to cheat and I'm going to use, I'm trying to, there's lots of tools I've got that you guys may not have. So I'm trying to use everyday items. There we go. I've just popped that in with a pen. This is just an ordinary pen that I got from the shop. And I'm just going to pop that in so that it sits in okay. And so I've got my IM screw. Be careful because to the untrained eye, obviously we're all experts who watch this stream, but these two screws, they do the GMs and the IMs, they do look very similar. So
Yeah, and they're a very similar size as well. So
yeah, so I'm going to pop that in just enough so that it bites. That's not in enough. Aha. Do you know what? I've just talked about it, haven't I? So got me the washing up liquid. The reason I want to do this multiple times is if I pop a piece of some washing up liquid and the screw goes in lovely, just because it's gone in nicely once doesn't necessarily. I'm very skeptical and very critical about everything. So just because it goes in nicely once doesn't mean that it's perfect. So I want to try this method as many times as I can, and there we go. That's gone in enough to bite. That did go in quite easily. So once I'm happy with that, which I am, I'm then going to tighten it up further. Wow. I say I don't know if it's the quality of the build, but that's gone in nice. I don't want to push this too far. Obviously, if I screwed this up really, really tight, it's going to stop the wheel from spinning. But I would say that that's spinning quite true. So yeah,
yeah,
that's
that looks
that
good.
in. Okay. And
Okay, yeah, and then step 5 is to fit the wheel rim cover 20B into the center of the wheel, and it says no, this is a push fit connection. So again,
right,
yeah, that came in your issue 20, I
that
believe.
came last week. Now, as I said in the last time we did this, pop the middle in. Don't push from the outside because, as you can see, the shape of it, it's going to be weaker on the outside. So you do, if you haven't quite got that in and you push really hard, you could bend that. So it's not hard to push in. So I'm just going to place it in, get my thumb, and there we go. It's that simple. Okay, now some people don't like these, so some people may not be putting them on, but I quite like them. So there we go. That is the whole issue done.
And I suppose if you change your mind later on, you could maybe use something like a plastic
Of course you
guitar
can.
pick or something to pop them out.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to say, try not to pick that out with anything metal, because obviously you do run the risk of scratching the paint off that. Okay, so is everybody happy with that? I'm just looking through some of the comments. So Dave Mills says he got one of the screwdrivers. How do you find it, Dave? Is that a good? I mean, we tend to use it a lot. We seem to love it.
Yeah, I've got
Um,
2 of them.
you've
And
got to.
yeah, I just use them for everything. They just seem to have a lot of, grip in them. And I was a bit skeptical when I got them,
Yeah,
being from Poundland, and, the quality may not be quite there, but
yeah, no problems. Sorry, I was just trying to change the camera angles. Um, so Um, do you mind if I just tackle Chris Cambling's question, which is well, these two comments he's made. Hi, I'm thinking of doing a live build maybe next time on my R2. And is it easy to do a live build? Um, Personally, I think it is. However, I am aware that I'm coming from a Twitch background. I've been streaming on Twitch now for. Should I change my camera angle for me?
Yeah,
Yeah, people. Apparently, some people like to actually see me. I've just pressed the wrong button there. Look, that's how useless I am. There we go. Yeah, so I've been streaming on Twitch now for I think it's about 3 or 4 months, and my my stream has evolved. I do think my early streams were absolutely terrible. Um, I've I find with YouTube it does kill the quality a little bit. Um, the quality that's coming out on YouTube isn't quite the quality that you're getting on Twitch. So obviously, if you've got better equipment, it's YouTube does run the risk of making that equipment look ordinary. So obviously, if you've got ordinary equipment or cheap equipment, it could look quite poor. So what I would perhaps do is do some when you broadcast on YouTube, you can do unlisted or private videos. So I personally would do a couple of test runs. We did a couple of test runs on this show. We want to see how we could interact with each other. Hopefully, we've not been talking over each other, but we're trying to complement each other. And no one's ever seen any of those videos because we made them unlisted or private. So I personally would get something silly or just sit and talk about something, practice with all the different options and see how it goes. You'll probably be your own worst critic. So if you're happy, I would suggest then that it's good. And just give it a try. You need the audience to interact with. We're lucky that we've got 10 watching right now, which obviously the more audience we have, the more we can interact with them. But we've got enough people, and it's just really down to can you talk, can you keep them entertained? Does that help at all? Um, but I tell you what, I would definitely be interested in watching Chris do an R2 build because I do like watching people discover all the errors of the part works there and then and how they deal with it.
yeah,
Um, that's always fun for me. So hi Minecraft Guy Junior, sorry, and hello Daniel Simpson. So that's it for the build. Shall we have a look at the magazine?
yeah, yeah.
Which means I've got to change my camera angle back. Right, so
Suppose we better
missing
see what's
issue
coming.
alert.
See what's coming next
Should we do
week.
that now? Do you want to see that now? Should we look through the
Oh, I don't
magazine?
know. The
You love
suspense.
yours next week.
I know,
Okay,
I know.
so we were obviously hoping for we wanted to fit the suspension to the chassis. Do you know what? Oh, that's right. I noticed I've got a missing screw, which I haven't now. So coming in issue 22. That's what the cover's going to look like, and we will be doing an engine. And it says pulleys and a belt drive are assembled for the drive unit that is connected to the gearbox and brake system. So,
Right.
um, Chris says that he's going to do some trial videos and put a heads up. So, if you schedule Chris, contact me if you want any help. But what I do is I try to schedule a live broadcast 24 hours in advance. And then what will happen is all of your subscribers will get a notification 30 minutes before you go live.
Yeah.
Sorry, I right. So looking at this, the question for you all is: A, are you happy? B, are you unhappy about that? Do you think this ties in with fixing the front wheels? Dave says he's excited about next week.
Yeah, and I must say, by looking at that, it says obviously the front drive unit that's connected to the gearbox and braking system. So that indicates that it is, essential to be fast, because obviously we're doing the braking system, and that's obviously to do with the front wheels. So
Yeah,
there must be a link there somewhere before we fit that on.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, to be honest with you, I think it makes a bit of a change. I'm personally, I'm getting to the stage where I'd like the whole chassis done so that things can then be bolted on top of it rather than having a bit of this sitting. I mean, this bit here has been sitting on my shelf now for what, 3 months. It's getting dusty. And I'm waiting to do something with this. But then again, I don't want to assemble it too early if it's then going to block things. So I
Yeah,
kind of, this is my first proper part work. So I must confess, I don't know how part works typically go.
yeah, and
Um,
it's like I don't want to sort of come too much off topic, because this is the Routemasters show. But on my just example, obviously I'm doing the DeLorean. That was the same thing. We got in issue one, I got a wing, front wing, and I'm on issue 75 now, and I've still got that wing waiting to be put on the build.
right.
So
So
I'm
it
wondering
wouldn't
if this is going
shock
to
you
go
if it wouldn't
the same
shock
way.
you if we had the same thing with the Routemaster.
Not at all. No, no. I think it's like it's as you said in a previous video, Penny. The first issue, you get lots of parts, and it sucks you in and gets you, excited, and
Yeah.
you get some nice big bright parts. And I think, yeah, I wouldn't. I personally would reckon we're not going to be touching a lot of that for quite a lot.
Right.
Sorry, for quite a lot, for quite a long time. Later, much further on down the issues, it's probably going to be sort of the last thing to put on, I suspect. But
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
speculation. I haven't
But then
the ability to.
speculation is your middle name, isn't it?
I love speculation. I absolutely love speculation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, let's say, on the one hand, Chris Campling says that R2 is the same. So you've
yeah,
got bits that have
yeah,
been sat there for ages, have you? Um, but then again, isn't it also a positive that if we're working on different bits, that gives us more to look at? I mean, I'm really excited about the engine. I like one of the things that I love about the Routemaster is things are so basic, but I'm using that word basic as a positive word. The engines doesn't look very sophisticated, but it does what it needs to do. And because it's only concentrating on what it needs to do, it can do that job very well. The modern buses that we have, um, the bus I had today had engine management problems. Well, it's because it's dealing with so many different things.
mm,
With a Routemaster, if something breaks, the bus doesn't work. Ba bang, that's it.
yeah,
It's off the road. With these modern buses, oh, the heating doesn't work, so it's going to be a cold bus in the middle of winter, or um, there's a problem with the fifth gear or the fourth gear, so you've got a top speed of 30 miles an hour. You just got so many twiddly bits, but it still works. But and then your expectations grow because it's got all of these lovely features. Routemaster, very simple. It works or it doesn't. And I'm
yeah.
looking forward to that engine because it's going to look basic, but very functional.
And it's the same with cars as well. They're all the same. You got the old, like especially diesels. You've got the old mechanical diesel engines. As you say, they either work or they don't. And then you come over to the newer style of cars, everything's electronic, and it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Daniel, Foyer Daniel has said hello from France, and
hello.
Chris Campling said one part in issue one. left till issue 60 odd.
Yeah.
And Dave said, and I tell you what, I think this is a wonderful comment that Dave, and that's so true. Dave says, it doesn't worry me at all, enjoying all of the Routemaster build. Um, Even if we get little bits here and there, that front grill, we may not. It is entirely possible we don't attach it until issue 130, but we know it's going to go on to that bus somewhere at some time. Otherwise, they wouldn't have supplied us with the parts. So at least we've still got something nice to look at in the meantime.
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, one of the I won't say moans, but one of the things that people have been talking about in the Facebook groups is the back wheel. Um, would you like? I by luck I had some kind of old vintage. So I'm trying to get my lighting good, but it's I haven't got a proper studio. By some luck, Saturday I was in town. I say town. I live in a city. I was in Newport City Centre, and by luck there was some kind of old vintage vehicle, something or another going on, and there happened to be an old double-decker bus, and it was operated by the AEC Society, who are based in Shropshire. I have the details if you want them. Quite happy to share those. And I see them all having a nice civilized cup of tea on the back of the bus. And I just popped my head round and I said, "Oh, do you mind if I take a couple of photos, specifically the back wheel?" And I said, this being an AEC, is the back wheels fairly typical of, say, what a Route Master would be like? And they said, yeah, they're all pretty much the same. So I've got some photos to share with you if you would like to see them. And bear with me. There we go. So this is the bus in question. And I'm just going to wait for that to catch up because I want to make sure it does share properly. Sorry, this is the first time I personally have done a screen share. It looks like it's not going to. Okay, right. That's not worked out as well as I'd hoped. So I'm really sorry, guys. Right, I thought I was sharing the screen. Ah,
Yeah. You can't. Yeah, I can see that. You are.
I can show you. Yeah, I'm sharing the screen. I'm trying to open up the photos so that you can see them. So that when I double click on that photo there, I want the photo to come up so that you see that photo. Ah, share. No, okay. So let me. Ah, maybe I've. There we go. It's because I've got it on the wrong screen. Look. So, right. So this is the actual bus in question. And now I've lost. Oh, okay. I'm doing strange things now. Right. Why is that not working? There, normally, there's like a backwards and forwards button. Okay. So that's the button. I'm going to have to close them all down, I think. Okay, help. Right.
If you select all of them,
See all photos.
yeah, if you select them all.
Oh, don't know what that's done. So, guys, I am totally useless. So I'm going to have to open and close each individual photo. So this is the next photo that I have. And this is the, I got to be honest with you, I'm waiting for someone to jump in and go, oh, yeah, that's a such and such. Um, I think I just had it then. Okay.
If I can put my bit in, when you go to
Yeah.
your folder with all the photos in that folder, if you click and highlight all of the photos, then right click and
Ah.
click open, it will then open it in that window with the arrows.
So what? Just open.
Yeah, highlight them all, then open, and it'll open them all in one window, and then you should have the arrows
I see
left
it
and
now.
right. Does that
Right.
work?
Okay. Let's go. Gotcha. Right. Lovely. So this is the first one. And hopefully this has given people an idea about what to do with the back wheel. This is something that I'm working on as well. So this is the first picture I've got. Please excuse the rust. I know these guys restore vehicles, and I know they do them in the spare time, and the speed that it gets restored is purely based on the speed of which these unpaid volunteers can do the work. So personally, I think you're a bit out of order if you're expecting that done. Um, Sorry, that's my little thing there. So that's, but as I say, I'm told that these are fairly standard. Um, it's an AEC renowned. I knew Dave Say would come up with the answer because Dave Say knows everything. What Dave Say doesn't know probably isn't worth knowing. So because of the speed of the delay, I'm just going to go through them, and every few seconds I'll just click on to the next photo. But there's some really nice. I'm really liking that. So to be honest with you, if you don't want to put, are we actually allowed to call it a dustbin lid? That cover is that the actual nickname term generally used word for it, or is that being derogatory? So I think if you want to modify your own wheel, I think that would be quite simple to do. The hardest part is getting the chrome, because painting chrome is really, really difficult. There is some paints out there that do chrome, and it's a case of painting it and then polishing it. But I think it can certainly be done quite easily. So, what do you think, guys? Did I do all right with those photos, or should I go back and do them again? Oh, there you go. I thought I'd lost my camera. So, yeah, I mean, did you like those Horlicks?
Yeah, very good.
Good,
Yeah,
good.
it's a really good spot. And
So, well, it was just sitting there in the middle of the street, and I'm like,
yeah,
well, I can't just walk past this, can I? It would just be
no,
totally wrong. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. Um, if anybody wants the details of the AEC, oops, sorry. I say whoops a lot on camera. So if anybody wants the details of the AEC Society, that's them there. And I'll probably actually put this in the description after the video. I don't know if there's different branches of the societies, um, but there it is. So would you like to have a look through the magazine?
yeah, let's have a look.
Yeah, why not? We haven't shown you much on camera yet, have we?
Well,
We'll have
no,
to, we'll have to
I'm
change that.
I'm the co-host. You're the star of the show, Penny.
I'm not a star. You're making me a star. Right. So just see what Daniel Simpson's written. I have two issue 10 spare, so I'm going to use the caps out of them for the back wheels, so they are all the same all round. Because I do like the front wheels, so that's why I got four issue 10s. And Foya Daniel says he has to go. Okay, well, thank you very much for popping in. Um, we appreciate everybody here. So, looking at issue 20, this is what we missed last week. And we start off with a poster from the London Transport Museum regarding St Albans Route 84. Now I recognise that route. I used to run a bus route for a company called Red Line, and I used to run the S4 and the S5, and it was I used to do the same duty every time. And I remember, incidentally, I have done a 3 point turn in a bus in a Dennis on St Albans High Street. So I might tell you more about that one day, but that was funny. So this is from the mid 1920s, which is probably why I don't recognise the high street. So, and the article is still on the Route 52, south to the Royal Albert Hall. And I think that's a wonderful shot. Whether you're into architecture or not, I don't think you can deny that that's a
That's
good shot.
beautiful.
Yeah. And then many faces of Kensington, and then we've got the Kensington High Street. So obviously, 1965, young women from across London and the surrounding suburbs were flocking to the fashionable Bieber store on Kensington Church Street. And then we've got more on the Royal Albert Hall. And then we've got a little article there back in time. And then we've got various number 53 buses along the route. So we've got um, buses and a shower. Ah, now, do you remember we were talking about shower backs a few weeks back? There's one there. It's quite nice because we know we've got one in relation to a bus. So they're actually quite wide, weren't they? So I can see why part of the reason they might have been a problem. Some of the routes that I drive down, if you had something that was wider than a double decker bus, that would cause big problems. So we've got an STD type bus. We've got, trying to find the numbers now. We've got RMs at Westbourne Park Garage in 1981. And we've got an 8 foot wide RTW type on trial, testing the narrow Kensington streets. Looks like that's just, sorry, I might have missed that. Sorry, I apologise. So that looks like a little bit tight there, but I think that's managed that okay. And then there we have got the RT type passing the Albert Memorial. We've got the Volvo B7 and we've got the B9s, which I have driven the B9s and they're actually quite nice, but they do tend to drive themselves a little bit too much. They do tend to sort of run away from themselves. So we've got an article on Colin Curtis, who is, I haven't read this to be honest with you. Um, At the time the Routemasters design was conceived, Colin Curtis was a young engineer working on the project. He went on to adopt, sorry, I keep getting this out of camera. He went on to adopt many of the design principles of the renowned Bill Durrant and his London transport team. And there's a lovely, I like that one. That's an RF type Regal 4. I'm useless with my Roman numerals. And this bus, similar to the bus owned and rallied by Colin Curtis for over 30 years. And then there's a Daimler Fleetline DMS. You see, I'm in heaven here with all the bus pictures.
Yeah.
And then you've got the LT type, which took on many design ideas from the QRM. And there's an article there on the Routemaster Association. So I'm spoiling you all now with two associations. And then we have the weekly poster promoting bus travel. By the 1930s, women had a growing interest in fashion and magazines, and transport advertising recognised this. These stylish women make buses a desirable mode of transport. The poster was designed by, is it Jean or John Dupas in 1933? Um, just out of interest, guys, how many people are avid readers of the magazine, and who here doesn't particularly bother with them? Would be interested to know that.
Yeah.
So, Also, do we have any questions from anybody? Maybe someone would like to fire a question at Horlicks, Grill Horlicks. Doesn't necessarily have to be about the Routemaster. But don't forget that he's on issue 1 and 2. You should be getting the next issues any week now, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it's got to be any day. Must be.
Are you getting all excited about it?
I am, and I'm just going to go on. I actually printed. Obviously, I do 3D printing. Now, watching your video and seeing the issues that some people have had with issue 6, I believe, trying to get those springs in,
Mm,
I've actually printed myself just a bit of an experiment, really. I've actually
okay,
printed
I'm
myself.
frantically trying to change the screens here. There we go.
I've actually printed myself a vice, which I'm hoping, because I don't actually own a vice, and I thought I could go and buy a metal one, but I didn't want to scratch any of the paintwork or the plastic parts, so I've actually printed this plastic vice, which I'm hoping is going to aid me in getting that spring into place with that cap on, so I can get those 4 screws in.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
yeah,
it looks okay to me. I personally, I take the attitude it'll either work or it won't.
yeah,
But if you've gone out and spent 20, 30, 40 pounds on something and it's not up to the job, that's a lot of money you've wasted.
yeah, that's it. So yeah, it was just a bit of an experiment. I'll see if it works. I'm quietly confident it will, because I've tested it on
Right.
various objects around the house, and it seems really strong for what it is. So
Good.
yeah, I'm really chuffed for that.
The,
But
the
yeah,
the the thread on that looks quite thick.
yeah. And the joy of this is I didn't even need to do any sanding or filing. It just screwed in. Absolutely fantastic.
But this is the part where Horlick shows off that he's just borrowed a new 3D printer that's really, really good.
Yes. Well, I'm hoping it's actually going to be mine. It's a bit of a long story, so I'm not going to go into it now. But um, there's 2 laying around at work. Now I work in clothing industry, so you're probably thinking, why is there 2 3D printers there? Well, it's a bit of a long story, but the directors ended up with them in our warehouse, and they've been there over a year. And I've clocked them, and I'm trying to strike up a deal with them to purchase one. Um, so yeah, I'm just trialing them out at the moment.
Yeah, see, some of us, we just have to build our own over many, many months.
Well, no, well, yeah. I mean, originally my first. I have got another 3D printer that isn't as good, and that started by one of my best friends, and he's actually blind. Now he still likes all the latest tech, and um, he's collected all these 3D printer parts over the 3 years, and then I love building stuff, so he actually chucked me the whole box and said, "Can you build this for me?" And I was over the moon. I said, yeah. Got straight home, ripping everything open, built it, and I was impressed with it. I was so impressed that I really, really wanted one myself. And I was like, oh, I've missed the subscription now. There's no way I can get hold of it. But luckily, I found a faulty one on eBay.
Nice one.
And it was very cheap, very cheap. So cheap, it actually upset Dean because of the amount of money he paid, understandably.
Yeah.
But because I'd already built one, I knew the ins and outs of it. So I, I had this thing delivered, could tell what was wrong with it straight away, cracked on, ordered some. Luckily, there was still support for replacement parts. Managed to order some replacement parts, and I've been using that for a little while now. So this
Yeah.
one's a nice change.
Dave
But
Mill has just asked, do you buy blocks of plastic to make things as he knows nothing about 3D printing?
okay, well I can actually show you actually if you like. I mean, this is going completely off subject, but it's all good. This is what you get. It's a reel of PLA, and it's basically like strimmer wire. That's how I can explain it.
Right, that makes
Um,
me understand then.
Yeah, and then so you get it on. You buy them in different lengths on the internet. I think you get a better value if you buy like a kilo of it. Um,
It's done by weight.
yeah, so you get a big roll of filling. This roll would be full, and then this feeds depending on your printer. Most normal lower budget ones will feed into the top of the extruder where there's a motor that will grip the side of the PLA and it will drag it through, forcing it through the heater and then out of the nozzle. That's how it works.
So my basic understanding is it's going to draw that in, melt it, and then kind of squirt the plastic where it wants it to
Yeah,
go to, and then it just
exactly.
hardens as it cools.
So it's basically the same as any. It's it's the same technology as a normal inkjet printer, except
Right.
you're using this material instead of ink. That's
So the only plastics I've ever melted have been like aircraft model kit sprues, and obviously you've
right.
got the issue with toxic fumes. Is there any issues with that?
No, PLA is odorless, and there is nothing. You don't even know. Sometimes you get quite a sweet smell, which is pleasant, but there's no horrific fumes. You don't need to ventilate the area. However, if you are printing with ABS, which is a different type of plastic, one, it's very, very, very difficult to print with, and a lot of professionals will say the same, to be
Right.
honest, because it burns at a lot. You have to have it at a much hotter temperature, and it's more susceptible to warping. So and it shrinks as well. PLA doesn't really change. When it's hot, it doesn't really shrink. When it's cooled
Right.
or expand, ABS there is a lot of can be a lot of movement after it's cooled. So printing is difficult if you haven't got the bed temperature correct because you'll get warping.
Right.
So I've tried it once and I personally didn't get on with it, so I left it. But then it could have been down to my lower end printer not being able to cope with it. But that you do have to print in a well ventilated area because it reeks.
Fair enough. Now, I find that extremely interesting, but as you said, it's kind of a little bit off the route master.
Yeah, yeah,
If people are interested, then obviously we can do a segment on it in a future show.
yeah. Well,
I
absolutely.
mean,
We could
obviously,
maybe. I
yeah,
know
I
you're
asked you.
building the 3D printer yourself, and we could do another live another day perhaps and
Yeah,
answer any questions about 3D printing.
yeah. Okay, so would you like to see issue 21, which is this week's issue?
Yes.
Right. So I'll go to the first picture, which is not there this week. Normally they seem to have a picture at the beginning. So we are still on the Route 52 and we are now skirting around Hyde Park en route from Willesden to Victoria Station. Bus 52 passes Hyde Park. This huge park is in the centre of London, has many significant memorials, and is home to the Household Cavalry. And there's a lovely picture. Marble statues at the corners of the Albert Memorial represent the continents of Europe, Asia, Africa, and America, while the frieze depicts important figures in the fields of engineering, commerce, and agriculture. Oh, so then we've got that looks like a concert. Hyde Park plays host to many rock concerts. The Hard Rock Calling concert in 2011 celebrated 40 years of the famous hamburger chain. And then you've got the Serpentine forms a peaceful oasis running across the centre of Hyde Park. You've got the Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Fountain. And of course, you've got the Household Cavalry. And then you've got the you can't really not mention the Great Exhibition, can you? That's a major part of British history, well, London history. And then we go into
Sorry, can I just
steam tram.
interrupt? Sorry, Chris is just saying he's got to go. So see you soon. Thank you for tuning in, Chris.
Yeah, no problems. Always great to see you, and thank you very much for the support.
Yeah, and we look forward to your live feed, Chris. Yeah, we look forward to seeing how that comes on for you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So I hope they don't mind me calling on this, but the two Daves say that you were very interesting about the 3D printer. I had a feeling people would find it interesting, but this is one of those things that we could talk all day on a subject, but
Yeah, I could.
we've got another 109 issues to go. So um, you never know.
No,
Um,
that's it.
so so this is steam trams and electric trains. Trams drawn by horses have been used in London since the mid 19th century. In a bid to reduce running costs, from the 1870s, operators began to develop trams powered by steam and then electricity. So lots of pictures of the tram. That looks absolute chaos there, doesn't it? I don't know how they manage all that. Must be some pretty good brains gone behind that. Um, and then we've got more pictures there. And there we've got the tram at Mile End in the 30s is at a point where the power supply changes from central conduit between the rails to overhead cables. There is a lot of information in these magazines. Um, oh, there we go. There's a picture of the tramways. Um, Now I'm guessing that's an actual map rather than the tube style map, which is made attractive because it's not to scale, is it? And then you've got Greenwich Power Station, which I believe I've got a picture of that somewhere. I went on a social club trip last year or the year before to London, and I went up in the London Eye. And then we finished the magazine off with a 1947 poster that represents the facts about London transport in a no nonsense way. So we've got London Transport, the world's largest urban passenger transport undertaking, began operations on the 1st of July 1933, and so on and so forth. And I don't know if I wouldn't find that as interesting today. It's not a post these days. You want posters that grab you, don't you? Maybe funny or something witty. But I guess that's how the posters were done in those days. I mean, like 11.5 million. Sorry, 11 and a half. What's that? 11.5 billion miles are travelled annually by passengers on the London transport system. I suspect that probably 11 billion of those probably don't care so long as they can get to their destination. But isn't it funny that all the work that goes into a transport system, it's once someone's got to their destination, it doesn't mean anything. I've often mentioned this before. I put so much effort into running my bus on time, picking up all my passengers. If I see anybody that's slightly late for the bus, I might just hold it back. And they just go on their daily lives. Oh, apparently we've gone down. So just bear with me a sec. I'm just seeing if I'm still running. Um, right, okay, oh, there we go. We've got sorry, we lost Horlicks for a moment there. It looks like we've lost his camera as well. Um, so I'm just going to carry on waffling until I know I've got Horlicks back. Yeah, we've got Horlicks. Oh, did you enjoy your little trip, Horlicks?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
I don't know. First I heard I was waffling away, and then all of a sudden my phone beeped, and I saw on the screen it said it's gone down.
Mm.
And then I looked, and you'd gone, but the stream seemed to be still running. So I thought, oh no, Penny, think of something, talk. So
I've had I was watching it this end, and the actual. I'm not actually. Are we actually live still? I
we are
can't.
still live, yes. Is there anybody in the who's watching could do me a favour and just write something in the comments just to say that we're still running? I will type something as well. I'll do my usual garble. There we go. It looks like we're still running. There we go.
Ah,
Adrian Langley's confirmed.
so
So,
that's interesting then. So we know we can get recovery if there is a problem with the connection.
I think what's happened is the connection went between us two, but the connection didn't go between me and YouTube, so we still had something.
Right.
So that was interesting. That's another problem that's tested us. One of the things that we talked about in our practice streams was there's going to be problems that we can't anticipate. We just don't know what's going to happen, and we get them all the time. So Chris Campling's gone now, but that's perhaps something I should have thought to say, is that you will get the most unexpected problems.
Yeah.
Although my usual problems are dropping things. So is there anybody? Right, Dave is saying that the internet is fairly bad, especially out here in sticks.
Yeah.
Okay, I wish I could fix that, but unfortunately that's beyond my skills.
If you've
Is
got
there
your
anything
camera on, Penny, I can't see. I'm happy to have my face on YouTube. That's fine. But
Now, what's interesting is when we did our practice streams, we had it so that it would automatically wrong. Oh God!
there you
Right,
go.
am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
There we go. Right. One of the things that we did, I don't know how I did it, but we there's this feature where, yeah. Sorry, that's a bad joke. Right. There's some way that what you can do is you can have the settings so that when I stop talking and Horlick starts talking like now.
Hello. Hello. Can you
There
see
we
me?
go.
You have to
So
wave
automatically,
vigorously.
yeah, so it automatically switches.
It's-
Whereas what I've been doing up to this point is actually clicking a button to present who should be presented. We're practicing it, and we were doing this in front of the
Yeah, if anyone was to see us, they'd think, what are they doing?
yeah. But I don't know what I've just done, but it obviously works now. But obviously the problem we've got is we don't want the camera flicking backwards and forwards when I'm doing the actual build.
No.
We want the camera down. But yeah, it's just it's working, so I'm not going to complain. So I've got to be honest with you. I've run out of things to say for this week. Is there anything that you would like to say? And is there anything that anybody would like us to do for next week?
No, I think I've covered everything I was going to say. I tried to prepare. Obviously, it's my first live thing as a co-host, so it's all trial and error at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just to find my feet, but no, yeah, it's been really good build. Just looking forward to getting my content up, but hopefully, yeah, it won't be too long.
Yeah. There is one thing I'd like to mention. It's more regarding my channel than it is the actual build. Last week, as per normal, I did my Friday video, and I used the footage from the live show, and then I edited it and speeded it up where necessary. Now, I understand some people like to see a start to finish build, and some people like the speeded up build. Now, one of the ideas that I had, we left the live show up so that anybody can go back and see it whenever they want. Then I had the Friday build as well. Now, I'll use the word views, but I prefer to use the word reaching out to people. So I know how many views I can expect to get at any particular time. People tend to watch my older videos as well, so the numbers are always growing. What I noticed was that the live show and the Friday show got lower numbers than the normal when I do the normal Friday show on its own. However, the two shows combined had higher numbers, which suggests to me that some people have watched the live show and hasn't felt the need to watch the Friday show, and some people have watched the Friday show because it's shorter. Um, Now, I've been doing some videos for a totally different subject. I brought the Lego video out and the Lego bus. Now, for the actual build, I've done no narration at all. I've just speeded up the whole build, so I'm kind of speed building, and I've overlaid it with music. I'd like to ask you guys, because you can watch this live show anytime you like to watch the build. Do you think it might be a good idea for me to do a nice simple Friday video of a speed build? What I'll look at doing is scanning parts of the magazine in so that it will just that particular part might sit something like that. So you'll see me speed it up to a certain speed, no narration, and just play music. And a third option is to actually cut the part of the build out from the live show and then publish that as well raw. So you will get myself and Horlicks talking and doing the build, but it will be completely unedited, other than we'll just take that section out. Does anybody, or should I just keep it the way that I did it last week, which is actually take the footage, do a voiceover, explain what I'm doing? So
I suppose the only thing I could suggest is it's difficult, but maybe trial one of each over a course of 3 weeks, and then see how it works out, and how it reaches out to people.
Right, because one of the things that I'm going to do, obviously I can't do too much. I don't know when things are going to appear in this live video, but once this has finished, I'll go back into the video and I'll see when the actual build begins, and then I'll put a link so that it'll say build starts at 23 minutes and 16 seconds, so people can just click. I appreciate that some people, the two Daves seem to be enjoying the whole show.
Yeah.
But I've been watching the numbers go down and up. We've had 12, we've had 6, and that suggests to me that some people are here just for the build, and that's absolutely fine. I know there's people out there that don't bother with the magazine. They only use the magazine as a set of build instructions. So different people do different things, which is why I want to put a link in the description. The build starts at, and then they can go straight in. They're not watching any of what we're talking about at the moment. Right. So Dave says he doesn't like build videos when it's just music. So that would suggest that if I had that idea of having the live and the music, that would put people like Dave Milne off.
So yeah, that maybe not quite a good idea.
Right. Because obviously different people like different things. So what if I took just a segment of the build, and then just put that out? So I'll still have my shout outs and I'll still have my opening titles, and then it will be the actual raw footage just from the build, and then the end credits, and then it finishes. And would you have an objection to that, Horlicks? Because obviously you will be on the video because you're talking.
Not at all. No, it's up to you. It's your, at the end of the day, I'm a guest on your channel. This is how you want to.
I'm going to interrupt you there, and I'm going to disagree with you. I use the word co-host because although this is being hosted on my channel, you are as an important part of this as I am. You will have something to bring. Obviously, this is your show. This is your first show, so we haven't quite got into. I mean, would anyone agree with that or disagree with it? There might be people coming and watching this show just for you. There might be people coming to watch the show just for me. But I hope that the majority of people are watching for the both of us.
Yeah.
Legion, the sum of the parts is the sum of the it's the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Right, so unless you want to bring anything up, I'm going to end the show there, if that's okay with everybody else. Dave Say says, good show from both of you. And there you go, Horlicks, from both of us. Very informative and interesting as usual. Keep up the good work. I hope that as we establish a rhythm, the shows will become even more interesting. Obviously, I'm looking at bringing guests in, so I will be contacting people over the next couple of weeks. Now, I have a bonus for everyone that's been watching up until now, which is that you will not want to miss next week's show. Would you agree with that, Alex?
Yes, I would. Yeah.
And you will definitely not want to miss the show on the 27th.
Yeah.
So we have been working very, very hard behind the scenes, and there will be a video coming out at 10 o'clock next week on both of our channels, but we will be mentioning it here first. So there you go. Adrian
Stay
Langley.
tuned.
Yeah. Adrian Langley has said that he watched both of our channels. And Dave Milne says explaining the build helps, and if you hit a problem and fix it, the viewers see it. So that suggests to me that what I need to be doing for the Friday is either carry on what I'm doing now, or do what I said, which is just take the segment. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on what I'm doing now. Some people have said that people like to see the whole build from start to finish. Pretty much how your videos go. You sit there and you go, right, I do this, this, and this. I personally like to speed up the, like if you're screwing in 15 screws, I personally don't think you need to see all 15. So I'll explain what I'm doing with the first one, and then suddenly it'll go.
I agree with that, and I did that. I have done that on a few videos,
Yeah.
especially R2D2 with all those screws in the leg. I'll look at it base for base and see, right, this needs to be speeded up.
Yeah. And obviously, if you come across a problem with, say, the 7th screw, you can always slow the video down and go, right, I had a problem with this one, and then you explain your thoughts.
Yeah.
So I think the answer there is carry on what I'm doing. I'm quite happy with last week's views, or as I prefer to call them, reaching out to people. It seems that by doing the live build is giving people a different option, and it's also giving us more. Now, does everybody know? What I'll do is I'll put my Facebook profile down in the description below. Anybody is welcome to send me messages if they have any content they want added, and also I'll put a few contact details down. So if anybody wants to send me stuff, they want any specific questions that they want dealing with, and I may have to ask you a favour to remind me next week to use the washing up the liquid, because I forgot today. I am going to give that a try. I will try any new ideas.
Yeah.
And if someone comes up to me and says, yep, the best way to get that screw in is with a 15-pound sledgehammer, that one I wouldn't believe.
No, it is a really good idea, and to be honest, I'm going to try that when my next lot of issues come. It looks really good. Oh, yeah, Chris Davies says hi, Penny.
Oh, and Dave Mills says we're having sound problems. So hi, Chris Davies, how are you? And Dave's pretty much said that the way that I'm doing things is fine, and that I'm having sound problems. So hopefully it's sorted. Maybe it was just a glitch. I noticed that sometimes my internet seems to slow down a bit. So I think that was a really good show. I'm really happy with that. And do we know issue 22? Yes. Okay, I guess you've missed the beginning of the program. So let me switch my camera and we will have another look. And we are equally sad and happy because we wanted the front wheels to be. Oh, that's the front of this week. Oops. Right, so that's what next week is going to look like. See if I can get that into better focus. Oh, you know I'm not very good at this.
And that is the description is pulleys and belt drive are assembled for the drive unit that is connected to the gearbox and brake system.
Yes. Sorry, when you said that, I thought, oh, I've lost the screen there. So I thought, I'll see if I can get the screen back. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to get the focus going. You know what I've done, don't you? I'm trying to focus in the camera that I'm not actually using. I keep doing this. I have two cameras. And when you're trying to focus in the camera that you're not actually looking at, it doesn't work too well. That looks like a really nice piece. It looks a little bit plasticky. But I think with a bit of love and do you know what? I've just got a horrible feeling. No, I'm not going to be negative because it's looking great. Yeah, this is Horlicks. You'll have to watch the beginning of the show because I was so excited to announce Horlicks. So I'm trying to keep it steady. But that looks about 3 parts to me and a screw.
Yeah,
So,
that looks right, and that again off subject, but the DeLorean's the same. But I'm hoping with this you won't actually see that screw because obviously it'll be within the engine bay.
Yeah.
So,
but if it does show, it looks like it's going to be metallic Sharpies all round. Maybe we should start doing giveaways. I'll go out and buy hundreds of them.
Yeah,
we'll do giveaways. Here, have a metallic Sharpie. Right, so I apologise to people that have just come in, but I'm going to close. I'm going to end the show now. I think there we go. You can see where I focused the wrong camera in. There we go, that's better. There's my tobacco pouch. Yes, I smoke. No, I don't care. So, that's... I'll leave you with a non-related joke, and then I will just end the programme. Nothing to do with Build a Routemaster, nothing to do with buses. But 2 guys are driving through the countryside in their car, and one guy says, "Oh, look, a flock of cows." And the second guy says, "Herd of cows." And the first guy says, "Of course I've heard of cows. Look, there's a flock of them." Right, so guys, take care, and we will see you all same time next week. Thank you ever so much to all those that's taken the time and trouble to watch.
Yeah, thank you. See you later.